Captain Jake Morrison stood at the front of the bridge and looked out through the big window into space. The stars were few and far between out here. This was the edge of everything humans knew about the galaxy. Beyond this point, there was only darkness and mystery. His hands gripped the metal rail as numbers and lights danced across the screens in front of him. Jake had been doing this job for 3 years now. 3 long years of watching, waiting, and making sure nothing dangerous came through from the other side. The other alien races knew about Earth. They knew about the human colonies spread across dozens of worlds. They knew about the United Terran Alliance, but they did not know what humanity was hiding out here in the dark. Lieutenant Sophie Grant walked up to him from her station. She was only 29 years old, but she had earned her position through hard work and staying calm when things got bad. Her dark eyes looked serious as she spoke. "Captain, we are getting a distress signal. The location is about 40 light years past our border. It is coming from a Velkari merchant ship." Jake felt his jaw tighten. The Velkari were one of the big powers in the galaxy. They had 4 arms and they were good at trading and talking. They thought humans were simple and new to space travel. They had never been mean to humans, but they always acted like they were better. "What kind of trouble are they in?" he asked. Sophie worked at her computer console and frowned. "Pirates, sir. Several ships attacking them. The Velkari do not have enough weapons to fight back." Jake turned around to face his crew. Nathan Cross was the chief engineer. He was a big man who always had grease stains on his uniform. He looked up from his station. Lisa Chen was the communications officer. She waited for orders with her fingers ready on the controls. "Our rules say we do not cross the border," Jake said quietly. "But those are living people out there." "Sophie, how many life signs are on that merchant ship?" 47, sir. 23 of them are children." The captain closed his eyes for a moment. 47 lives. Children among them. The Velkari might think they were better than humans, but they were still people. Jake had spent 15 years in the Terran Navy. He would not let innocent people die while he watched from safety. "Nathan, turn on the main systems. Give full power to shields and weapons. Lisa, send a secret message to command. Tell them we are going to help." "Sir," Sophie spoke carefully, "if we show ourselves, if we let them see what we can do, I know what we are risking, Lieutenant, but I will not have those deaths on my mind. Helm, take us across the border, full battle speed." The Horizon's End jumped forward. Its special drives pushed it much faster than normal human ships could go. Within just a few minutes, they appeared near the Velkari ship that was under attack. 7 pirate vessels circled around the merchant ship like hunters around wounded prey. The pirate ships were crude and covered with pieces of stolen armor. "What can you tell me about them?" Jake asked. Sophie typed quickly on her console. "The pirates are Krathik's raiders. They have lots of basic projectile weapons but weak shields. They like to use too much firepower and then board ships to steal everything. Then let us show them what real firepower looks like. Sophie, aim for their weapon systems. I want to stop them, not kill them. I want them alive to tell others what happened." The Horizon's End opened fire. The pulse cannons were products of secret human research. They shot through space with perfect accuracy. One by one, the pirate ships had their weapons destroyed and their engines damaged. The whole attack took less than 30 seconds. Silence filled all the communication channels. The Krathiks had never seen weapons so accurate and so powerful. They rushed to escape, their broken ships moving slowly away into the darkness. "Open a channel to the Velkari ship," Jake ordered. A moment later, the face of a Velkari captain appeared on the view screen. His 4 eyes were wide with shock. His mouth parts clicked with confusion. Behind him, crew members stared at the human ship with looks of fear on their faces. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Terran vessel Horizon's End. Your ship is safe now. Do you need medical help?" The Velkari captain seemed unable to find words. When he finally spoke, his voice came through the translator machine as broken and uncertain. "You are human, but your weapons, your speed. How did you cross 40 light years in just minutes?" Jake kept his face neutral. "Do you need help, Captain? We have wounded people, yes. But I must know, what is a human ship doing out here? Your territory ends at the border. Everyone knows this. Everyone knows what we want them to know," Jake replied softly. "Wait for our medical teams. And Captain, let me give you some advice. What you saw here today, what we can do, this is why we guard the border. This is why we stay out here in the dark. Some secrets are kept for everyone's safety." The communication channel closed. Sophie walked up to Jake's command chair. Sir, this is going to change everything. When they report back, when the big powers learn what we are hiding out here. Jake nodded slowly. I know, but it had to happen sometime. We could not hide forever. And maybe it is time they understood why they should be glad that humanity chose to be their neighbor and not their enemy. He turned back to the window and watched the stars. Out there, beyond the light, humanity's true fleet waited in secret. Thousands of ships built over decades without anyone knowing. They had weapons that made the galaxy's guns look like toys. Humanity had learned hard lessons through its violent history. It had learned how to survive, how to fight, and how to win. The galaxy was about to learn those same lessons. For 3 years, Jake had been watching the edge of known space. For 3 years, he had been protecting everyone from threats they did not even know existed. Now the secret was out. The other races would learn that humans were not weak. They would learn that humans had been preparing for something. Sophie stood beside him, also looking out at the stars. What do you think will happen now, sir? Jake took a deep breath. They will be scared at first. They will ask questions. They will demand to know why we built such a powerful fleet in secret. They will wonder if we plan to attack them, and what will we tell them? The truth. That we built this fleet not to conquer them, but to protect them. That while they were enjoying their peace, we were watching the darkness. That someone needed to remember that the universe is not a safe place. Nathan called out from his station. Captain, the medical teams have finished helping the Velkari crew. They are ready to return to our ship. Good. Bring them back. Lisa, send another message to command. Tell them the situation is under control, but that we expect big changes coming soon. Jake looked at his crew. They were good people. They had been living out here at the edge, far from their families, doing a job that no one appreciated because no one knew about it. But that was about to change. Soon everyone would know what they had been doing. Soon everyone would understand. The Velkari ship began to move away slowly, limping back toward their home space. Jake knew that within days, maybe hours, the story would spread. A human ship had appeared from nowhere and destroyed 7 pirate vessels in seconds. A human ship had traveled faster than any known technology should allow. A human ship had saved Velkari lives. The questions would come fast. The demands for answers would be loud. And humanity would have to decide how much to reveal, because the truth was bigger than just a secret fleet. The truth was that humanity had seen things in the darkness beyond the edge. Strange signals, unknown energy patterns, signs of something else out there. That was why they had built the fleet, not because of the pirates or the other known races, but because of what might come from beyond, because humans understood that in a galaxy this big, there were always bigger threats waiting in the dark. And now, whether the galaxy was ready or not, they were about to find out what humanity had been preparing for all along. The Galactic Council chamber on Velkar Prime was filled with noise and anger. Representatives from 17 different alien species filled the big amphitheater. Their voices created a mix of clicks, chirps, and machine-translated speech. At the center of it all stood Ambassador Henry Walsh. He was the only human in the room. His gray suit looked perfect even though everyone around him was hostile. He was 53 years old and had been humanity's main representative for 8 years. The Velkari High Chancellor raised all 4 of his arms to ask for silence. His ceremonial robes showed moving holographic patterns. The gesture only partly worked to quiet the room. Ambassador Walsh, the Chancellor's voice boomed through the chamber. You will explain to this council what Captain Kelthar saw at the border. You will explain how 1 human ship defeated 7 Krathix raiders in seconds. You will explain how you crossed 40 light years in minutes when your known technology cannot do even a small part of that speed. Henry stood calm with his hands behind his back. He had been preparing for this moment since the day he took his job. Honorable council members, he began clearly, what Captain Kelthar saw was a rescue operation done by one of our border patrol vessels. We are happy we could save the lives on his ship. A Threxian delegate stood up from her seat. Her scales moved with anger. You avoid the question, human. How many of these ships do you have? What other weapons have you hidden from us? With respect, Counselor Threx, humanity's defense abilities have always been our own business. We have never threatened any member of this council. We have kept peaceful relations with all species. The Krellian ambassador was a being made of crystal. Its thoughts showed as colored light inside its clear body. It pulsed an angry red. Peace kept through lies. You let us believe you were weak and not advanced. Henry's face became harder. We never said we were weak. We said we wanted peace. There is a difference. And if you look at the records, you will find that humanity has been completely honest in all our dealings. We simply did not volunteer information about our military power. Word games, another delegate shouted. You have been building a war fleet in secret. Not a war fleet, Henry corrected quietly. A defense fleet. There is a big difference. The Chancellor's mouth parts clicked thoughtfully. And yet the question remains, Ambassador. Defense against what? The galaxy has been at peace for 300 years. What threat could possibly make you need the weapons that Captain Kelthar's reports suggest you have? Henry met the Chancellor's 4 eyes steadily. May I speak openly, Chancellor? Please do. Humanity has studied galactic history carefully since we learned to travel faster than light. We have noticed something interesting. Your great peace, this 300-year golden age, it started about 30 years after humanity first announced our existence to the stars. Is that just chance? Whispers moved through the chamber. The Chancellor's eyes narrowed. Henry continued with his voice calm but sharp. We have also noticed that despite your better technology in some areas, you have made very little progress in weapons during those same 300 years. Your warships today are only a little more powerful than they were 300 years ago. Why is that? The Threxian delegate made an angry sound. Because we have had no need. We chose peace, no, Henry said softly. You chose comfort. You became lazy. And in your comfort, you forgot the most basic rule of survival that humanity learned the hard way over thousands of years of war. Peace is not just the absence of fighting. Peace is what you have when you are too strong to be attacked easily. He touched a control on his wrist. A holographic display appeared above the chamber floor. It showed a star map with the border clearly marked as a glowing line around human space. You asked what we are defending against. The answer is simple. Everything beyond this line, the unknown, the darkness between stars, the things that have not found us yet. Because in a galaxy this large, with billions of stars and trillions of possible worlds, thinking we have met all the threats that exist is not just foolish, it is dangerous. He made the map bigger, showing the huge unexplored parts of the galaxy beyond known space. While you have been enjoying your peace, humanity has been watching the dark. We have been scanning, listening, and preparing. And we have seen things out there, signals that do not match any known species, energy readings that go against normal physics, strange things that suggest intelligence but not intelligence like ours. The chamber had become silent. Even the angry delegates seemed frozen by the display. So yes, Henry continued, we built a fleet. Yes, we made weapons. Yes, we kept secrets. Because someone needed to. Someone needed to remember that the universe is huge and mostly unexplored, and that peace kept through watching is the only peace worth having. The Krellian ambassador's light changed to a worried blue. You are saying you believe there are threats out there we do not know about. I am saying I know there are. And now that the secret is out, now that you know what humanity has been doing at the edge, I hope you will understand. We were not preparing for war with you. We were preparing for war for you. Because if something comes out of the dark, if something finds the galaxy that is not interested in peace and trade and talking, then every world, every species, every living being will need someone who never forgot how to fight. Henry turned off the hologram and faced the Chancellor directly. You asked what makes the stars shake with fear, Chancellor. It is not humanity. It is what we have been keeping away from you. And now that you know we are here, now that you know what we can do, I hope you sleep a little easier. Because out there, beyond the light, beyond the maps, beyond everything you know, there are things that would make your peaceful galaxy a hunting ground, and humanity has decided that is not going to happen. Not while we watch. The silence that followed was deep. The Chancellor's 4 eyes studied the human ambassador for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice had lost its angry tone. Then perhaps, Ambassador Walsh, it is time we learned more about what you have found at the edge. And perhaps it is time the galaxy remembered how to defend itself. Henry nodded slowly. Perhaps it is, Chancellor. Perhaps it is. The meeting continued for several more hours. Questions came from every direction. Some delegates wanted to know exact numbers of ships. Others wanted to know about the weapons technology. A few wanted to know if humans planned to share what they had learned. Henry answered each question carefully. He revealed enough to show that humanity was serious about defense, but he kept back the most important secrets. The exact locations of the hidden fleet, the full capabilities of human weapons, the details of what they had detected in the darkness beyond the edge. By the end of the meeting, something had changed in the chamber. The anger had faded. In its place was something else: concern, curiosity, and perhaps, just perhaps, a little bit of gratitude. As Henry left the chamber, a young aide walked beside him. "Sir, do you think they believed you?" Henry smiled slightly. "Some did, some did not. But all of them are thinking now. All of them are wondering what we know that they do not. And that is enough for today." "Will they want proof?" the aide asked. "They will get it soon enough. We have observers watching the edge. When they find what we know is out there, when they see it with their own eyes, then everyone will understand. Then the galaxy will wake up from its long peace and remember that survival requires strength." Henry looked up at the alien sky above Velkar Prime. Somewhere out there, beyond the stars he could see, beyond the comfortable borders of known space, something was waiting, something that had caught humanity's attention years ago, something that had driven them to build their secret fleet. And soon, very soon, the galaxy would learn what humanity had been preparing for all along. Dr. Kate Sullivan had been staring at the same data for 6 hours when she finally saw it. The pattern was hard to see against all the background noise that filled the edge of space. But it was there. It repeated over and over. Someone was sending it on purpose, and it was completely alien. She pushed away from her computer and rubbed her tired eyes. Around her, the listening post made quiet humming sounds as its sensors processed huge amounts of data. Station 7 was one of 43 such places scattered along the border. It had been her home for the past 2 years. The work was lonely, but someone had to do it. Computer run analysis pattern Sullivan 7 on the data from Sector 993. The computer's voice was pleasant and neutral. Analysis running. Pattern shows non-random structure. Confidence level 78%. Anomaly detected. Kate's heart started to beat faster. 78% was high. Very high. She pulled up more analysis and overlaid different views. The pattern was clear once you knew where to look. A series of pulses in the radio spectrum. Each one lasted exactly 1618 seconds. They were separated by gaps of 3.14159 seconds. The golden ratio and pi. Math constants. Universal constants. Someone was trying to say hello. Her hands shook slightly as she reached for the communication panel. This was what they had been watching for. This was why humanity had spent decades building its secret fleet. This was why they had put observers at the edge. Contact Station 7 to Border Command. Priority 1 alert. I have a confirmed strange signal. It shows a repeating pattern with math constants. I request immediate analysis and response permission. The answer came almost right away. Commander Alex Porter's face appeared on her screen. He looked alert even though it was the middle of the night at command. He was 42 and had been running border operations for 5 years. "Dr. Sullivan, confirm your readings. Are you sure this is not just noise or broken equipment?" "Confirmed, Commander. I have run every test. The pattern is real, it is on purpose, and it is coming from about 200 light-years past the border. The origin point is well outside any mapped space." Porter's jaw tightened. "Stand by, Doctor. I am sending your data to central analysis. Keep watching the signal and write down any changes." Over the next hour, Kate watched as the signal kept repeating. It never changed. Just the same pattern over and over, like a lighthouse sweeping across the dark. She tried to imagine what might be sending it. A probe, a beacon, a call for help or a warning. Her console made a sound. Multiple people were connecting to talk to her. She accepted and found herself looking at a virtual meeting room filled with humanity's top leaders. Admiral Victoria Barnes commanded the border fleet. General Lucas Freeman ran the Defense Research Division, and Director Claire Morrison ran the entire EDGE program. "Dr. Sullivan," Director Morrison began right away, "your discovery has raised serious questions. Our language experts have looked at the signal's structure. It is not just math constants. There is more information hidden in the spaces between pulses." Kate felt cold. "What kind of information? Coordinates, or what we think are coordinates?" "They point to a place about 50 light-years past where the signal is coming from. The language team thinks it is an invitation, or a warning to stay away. They are not sure which." Admiral Barnes leaned forward. "We are putting together a scout fleet. 3 ships, our best hiding technology, full defensive power. We need to know what is out there." "And the Galactic Council?" Kate asked. "After what happened with the Velkari ship, they know we have advanced technology. Should we not tell them?" Director Morrison shook her head. "Not yet. Not until we know what we are dealing with. The Council is still trying to understand that we have been hiding a fleet. If we tell them about this signal now, about possible first contact with an unknown species, it could cause panic. General Freeman spoke up with his rough voice. There is something else, Doctor. We have been looking at old data from the other listening posts. Your station picked up this signal first, but when we looked back through the files, we found traces. Weak and easy to miss, but there. This signal has been sending for at least 2 years. Kate's blood went cold. 2 years. Someone had been calling out to the galaxy for 2 years, and humanity's sensors had barely heard it. What did that say about whoever was sending it? What kind of technology could send across hundreds of light years and still be almost invisible? Permission to join the scout mission, she said suddenly. I found the signal. I should be there when we find where it comes from. Admiral Barnes raised an eyebrow. Dr. Sullivan, this will be a military operation. It could be dangerous, Admiral. I have spent 2 years out here at the edge alone watching the dark. I think I can handle dangerous. And you will need someone who understands the signal's patterns. Someone who can see changes or responses. The Admiral looked at Director Morrison, who nodded slowly. Very well, Doctor. You will leave with the fleet in 48 hours. Captain Morrison commands the lead ship. You will work with his crew. Kate felt both excited and afraid. She was going to find where the signal came from. She was going to be part of first contact if that is what this was. But as she looked at the repeating pattern on her screen, at the patient endless broadcast from the void, she could not shake a growing feeling of worry. What if the signal was not an invitation? What if it was a warning? What if someone out there in the dark was trying to tell them to stay away, and humanity was about to ignore that warning? She pushed the thought aside and began preparing her equipment for transport. In 48 hours she would find out. One way or another, humanity was about to learn what waited at the edge of known space. Kate spent the next 2 days getting ready. She packed her analysis tools and made backup copies of all her data. She wrote messages to her family, though she could not tell them where she was going or what she had found. Security was tight. Only a few dozen people in all of humanity knew about the signal. On the morning of departure, a shuttle arrived at Station 7 to pick her up. The pilot was a young woman named Amy Clark who did not ask questions. They flew in silence to the hidden base where the 3 scout ships waited. The horizon's end was bigger than Kate expected. It was sleek and dark, covered in panels that she knew could hide the ship from almost any sensor. Captain Jake Morrison met her at the airlock. He was in his mid-40s with gray at his temples and steady eyes. Dr. Sullivan, welcome aboard. I've heard a lot about your discovery. My crew is excited to have you with us. Thank you, Captain. I am excited too. And nervous. Morrison smiled slightly. That is good. Nervous keeps you alert. Come on, I will show you to your station. He led her through the ship's corridors. The horizon's end was beautiful inside. Everything was clean and efficient. The crew members they passed looked professional and ready. Kate met Lieutenant Sophie Grant at the tactical station, Nathan Cross in engineering, and Lisa Chen at communications. Her workstation was set up near the science bay. It had connections to all the ship's sensors, and her own specialized equipment had already been installed. Someone had done good work getting everything ready. We launch in 2 hours, Morrison said. Get settled in. Once we jump to faster-than-light travel, it will take us 3 days to reach the signal's origin. Use that time to rest and prepare. When we arrive, I need you sharp. Understood, Captain. 2 hours later, Kate felt the ship's engines come to life. Through the view screen in the science bay, she watched as the other 2 ships, the Silent Watch and the Dark Sentinel, took up formation beside them. Then space seemed to twist and they jumped into faster-than-light travel. For 3 days, Kate worked and worried. She ran simulations of what they might find. She practiced different ways to respond if the signal changed when they arrived. She barely slept. On the 3rd day, Morrison's voice came over the ship-wide comm. All hands, prepare for arrival. Dr. Sullivan, please report to the bridge. Kate hurried to the bridge and took her place at a science console. Morrison stood at the center, calm and ready. Sophie was at tactical. Nathan monitored the engines. Lisa had her hands ready on the communication controls. Drop us out of faster-than-light travel, Morrison ordered. All systems to full alert. Space twisted again, and suddenly they were there. Kate looked at the main view screen and her breath caught in her throat. In front of them hung something impossible. Something that would change everything humanity thought it knew about the universe. The 3 ships appeared from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. with their hiding systems already working. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the horizon's end, now joined by her sister ships, the Silent Watch and the Dark Sentinel. Dr. Kate Sullivan stood beside him with her eyes fixed on the view screen where their destination slowly became clear from a distant dot of light into something far bigger. It was a station, huge beyond anything they could understand. It was a structure bigger than anything humanity or the known alien species had ever built. It hung in empty space like a dark jewel. Its surface did not reflect any light. It absorbed everything that touched it. The only light came from occasional pulses of blue energy that moved across its hull in patterns too complex to follow. Scan results, Lieutenant Grant. Morrison's voice was steady despite what they were seeing. Sophie worked her tactical console with her face showing more and more worry. Captain, the station is about 1,200 kilometers across. We cannot identify what it is made of. It is not showing up on any of our tests. No heat, no electromagnetic signals except the signal Dr. Sullivan found. Life signs, Nathan Cross asked from engineering. None. No biological readings at all. But Captain, there is something else. The station's position, its orbit, it does not match any star or planet. It is holding still in the middle of empty space with no engines we can see. Kate stepped forward and pulled up her own analysis on another display. The signal is coming from a specific point on the station's surface. It is stronger here, clearer. And there is something new. The pattern has changed a little since we arrived. Look at this, she pointed to a section of the data. Where before the signal had been simple and repeating, now it showed changes, new math sequences, new gaps. It was responding to them being there. It knows we are here, Morrison said quietly. Even with our hiding systems on, it found us. Captain, Lisa Chen called from communications. I am getting a tight beam transmission. Audio and visual. It is coming from the station. Sir, they are speaking in English. The bridge became silent. English. How could anything out here know English? How could they have learned it? Put it through, Morrison ordered. The view screen changed. Instead of the stations outside, they now saw an inside space. Smooth walls seemed to flow like liquid metal, pulsing with that same blue energy. And in the center of the space stood a figure. It looked human-like in general shape, but was clearly not human. It was taller, maybe 8 feet, with skin that seemed to shift between solid and see-through. Its eyes were large and completely silver, reflecting everything around it like mirrors. When it spoke, its mouth did not move, but the voice came through clearly. Welcome, humans. We have been waiting for you. Morrison stepped forward. I am Captain Jake Morrison of the United Terran Alliance. We found your signal. Who are you? What is this place? The figure tilted its head in a way that seemed almost curious. We are known by many names across many ages. Your language has no direct translation, but you may call us Sentinels. This place is a listening post, a watchtower. We have kept watch here for longer than your species has existed. Watch against what? Kate asked, unable to stay quiet. The Sentinel's silver eyes looked at her. Against what comes from beyond. Against what sleeps in the spaces between galaxies. Against what your people call the dark. Morrison felt ice in his stomach. You are saying there is a threat. Something worse than anything we have met. Not a threat, the Sentinel corrected. The threat. The reason galaxies go silent. The reason civilizations that reach for the stars sometimes disappear without a trace. They are old, human, older than stars themselves. And they are hungry. Sophie had gone pale. How many are there? When will they come? Numbers are meaningless for things like them. As for when, they have already started coming. We found their wake 3 of your years ago. That is when we began broadcasting, searching for species that might be ready to stand against them. 3 years. The same time Morrison had been running the border. The same time humanity had made its military stronger. Had they somehow felt it? Had their instincts been right? Why contact us, Morrison asked. Why humans? There are species much older and more advanced. The Sentinel's form rippled, and for a moment Morrison could have sworn it smiled. Because, Captain Morrison, in all our watching and all our listening, yours is the only species we found that was already preparing. The only species that looked at peace and chose to keep the tools of war. The only species that understood that watching is the price of survival. It made a gesture, and the view screen split. On one side, the Sentinel stayed. On the other, a star map appeared showing not just the known galaxy but the huge empty space beyond it. And in that empty space, moving with terrible purpose, were shapes. dark masses that seem to eat light itself, moving in formation toward the galaxy's edge. "They will arrive in 20 of your years," the Sentinel said. "Perhaps less if they sense big activity. Your galaxy has been lucky. They passed it by in their last cycle, pulled instead to richer feeding grounds. But they return as they always do, and this time they will not pass by." Kate stepped closer to the screen, studying the coming masses. "What are they?" "They are harvesters. They eat matter," energy thought itself. "They strip galaxies bare and move on, leaving only cold darkness behind. Your people in your youth cannot understand their size. They are not ships, not in any way you understand. They are living voids, absence given form and purpose." Morrison felt the weight of command pressing down on him. 20 years. They had 20 years to prepare not just humanity, but the entire galaxy for a threat beyond imagination, and they would have to do it while explaining to the galactic powers why humans had been keeping secrets. "Can they be stopped?" he asked. The Sentinel was quiet for a long moment. "They have been stopped before. 3 times in the history we have seen. But the cost was always terrible. Entire species giving themselves. Technologies that made suns into weapons, and even then victory was never complete. The harvesters were only delayed, pushed back into the void to feed and gather strength before returning. But there is hope," it continued. "Your species, humans, you are different. You have known war, known loss, known the need for giving up things in ways the current galactic powers have forgotten. You have kept your edge while others grew lazy. And your technology. The weapons you have made in secret, they may be the base upon which a defense can be built." Morrison straightened his shoulders. "What do we need to do? Return to your people, Captain. Share what you have learned. Prepare your galaxy, all of it. The harvesters do not care about different species. They will eat everything, and in the time you have, we will teach you the knowledge we have gathered, the weapons we have designed, the plans that have worked before. All of this we will share." The Sentinel raised one hand and a data stream began sending to the ship's computers. Huge amounts of information, more than their systems could handle in real time. "But know this," the Sentinel said with its voice carrying ancient sadness. "The galaxy you return to will never be the same. Peace, the comfortable peace your neighbors have enjoyed, will end. The reality of the universe, cold and hostile and unforgiving, will return. Many will fight this knowledge. Some will deny it. Others will fall into fear. That is why they need us," Morrison said quietly. "Because humanity never forgot what the universe really is. We are going to be their wake-up call." "Indeed," the Sentinel agreed. "Go now, Captain. Return to the light. Tell your people what comes. And when the darkness arrives, when the harvesters reach your shores, stand firm. Because you, humanity, you are the galaxy's best hope. Not because you are the strongest or the wisest, but because you never stopped being ready for the fight." The transmission ended. The Horizon's End and her sister ships hung in space before the huge station, with their computers still taking in the flood of data the Sentinel had given them. Morrison turned to his crew. "Set course for home. Best speed we have. We have 20 years to save the galaxy, and we are going to need every second of it." As the ships turned on their drives and began the trip back to known space, Kate looked back at the station one last time. The Sentinel was still there on her console watching them go. "We are not ready," she whispered. Morrison heard her and allowed himself a hard smile. "No one ever is, Doctor. But we are going to be. That is what humanity does best. We adapt, we overcome, we survive. And this time, we are going to make sure everyone else survives too." 19 years, 7 months, and 14 days after the Horizon's End returned from the edge, humanity stood ready for war. But they did not stand alone. Admiral Jake Morrison had been promoted 3 times since his meeting with the Sentinel. He now stood on the bridge of the Defiance, the lead ship of the United Galactic Defense Fleet. Around him, holographic displays showed the positions of forces gathered at the galaxy's edge. 2,000 warships representing every major species in known space hung in perfect formation against the stars. It had not been easy. The news of the coming threat had broken the galaxy's comfortable peace. There had been denial, panic, and anger. Some species refused to believe until the Sentinels themselves appeared before the Galactic Council, showing proof that could not be argued with. Others believed right away but fell into paralysis, certain that nothing could stand against things that ate galaxies. But humanity had not wavered. With the knowledge from the Sentinels and the industrial power of their secret programs, they had led the charge. Human engineers had shared their weapons technology. Human tacticians had trained galactic forces in plans forgotten for centuries, and human diplomats led by Ambassador Henry Walsh had made alliances that would have seemed impossible just 20 years before. Now General Sophie Grant commanded the Tactical Integration Center, working with forces from 17 species speaking dozens of languages. Dr. Kate Sullivan led the Science Division. Her understanding of the Harvester's approach patterns was critical to the defense plan. Nathan Cross had been promoted to Chief of Fleet Engineering, watching over the refit and upgrade of thousands of vessels. The galaxy had united in a way it never had before, and humanity stood at the center of it all. Admiral. Sophie's voice came through clear on the communication channel. Long-range sensors are picking up gravitational problems. They are here. Morrison felt his heart beat faster but kept his voice steady. All ships to battle stations. Execute defensive formation Alpha 7. Sophie, give me a tactical overview. The main view screen changed, showing the outer edge of the galaxy. And there, coming out of the space between galaxies, they came, the Harvesters. They were huge beyond understanding, each one larger than a solar system, moving with terrible purpose. They did not reflect light. They ate it, leaving trails of complete darkness behind them. There were hundreds of them, maybe thousands, an army of living void that had crossed the gulf between galaxies to feed. All ships report ready, Admiral, Sophie said. Alliance commanders are waiting for your order. Morrison opened a channel to every ship in the fleet. Humans, Velkari, Threxians, Krellians, every species that had ever looked at the stars with wonder, every civilization that had built, grown, loved, and dreamed, all of them were listening now. This is Admiral Morrison to all defense fleet vessels. 20 years ago, humanity made a choice. We chose to watch the darkness. We chose to prepare for threats that others said did not exist. We were called paranoid. We were accused of hiding dangerous secrets, and we were. He paused, watching the Harvesters approach on the screens. But those secrets were never meant to be weapons against you. They were meant to be shields. Shields for all of us. Because humanity learned long ago that the universe is not kind. It is not fair. It is huge and cold and filled with things that would put out our light without a second thought. But we also learned something else. We learned that when facing death, when standing at the edge of nothing, life fights back. Civilization fights back. We fight back. Not because we are certain to win. Not because we are the strongest or the smartest. But because the other choice is to give up, and that is something humanity will never do. His voice grew stronger, carrying the weight of 20 years of preparing, of giving up things, of hope. Today we stand together. Every species, every world, every living being that calls this galaxy home. The Harvesters think we are prey. They think we will scatter and run. They think this galaxy is just another feeding ground. They are wrong. Today they learn what it means to threaten the galaxy under humanity's watch. Today, they learn what it means when civilizations that chose peace remember how to make war. Today they learn why the stars themselves shake when humanity shows its teeth. All ships, weapons free, execute Operation Daybreak. Show them what light can do to darkness. The fleet burst into action. Weapons that humanity had developed in secret, now shared with every allied species, came online. Pulse cannons that could crack planets. Shield makers that bent space and time itself. Missiles carrying antimatter warheads designed by human engineers and improved by Krellian physicists. Energy weapons that combined Velkari crystal technology with human power-making. And behind it all, the gift from the Sentinels, the resonance weapon. A device that took the combined energy output of every ship in the fleet and focused it into a single point, creating a wave effect that would tear through the Harvester's very being. The first wave of weapons fire lit the darkness like a new dawn. Beams of pure energy, streams of fast particles, missiles trailing fire. The Harvesters had never faced unified resistance before. They had fed on scattered, desperate species fighting alone. They had never met a galaxy that stood as one. The battle went on for hours. Ships were lost. Brave souls from a dozen species gave their lives buying time for others. The Harvesters learned, adapted, grew stronger. But so did the Defenders. And then, when the moment came when the Harvesters had committed fully to their attack, Morrison gave the order. Sophie, fire the resonance weapon. Kate, start the wave. Every ship in the fleet sent its power into the weapon. A beam of pure energy, brighter than any star, shot through space directly into the heart of the Harvester formation. And then it resonated. The energy spread, multiplied, moved in waves through the living voids, breaking apart the dark matter that gave them form. The Harvesters screamed. It was not a sound that could be heard in the emptiness of space, but every sensor, every mind in the fleet felt it, a cry of rage and pain and shock. For the first time in their ancient existence, they were truly hurt. And they ran, not destroyed, Morrison knew. That would have taken more than they had. But wounded, driven back, forced to retreat into the space between galaxies to recover. The Sentinels had been right. Victory was never complete against things like these. But it was enough. It would buy the galaxy time, perhaps centuries, to grow stronger. As the last of the Harvesters vanished into the darkness, Morrison let himself breathe. Around him, his crew was celebrating. Across the fleet, ship after ship was broadcasting success. They had done it. Against impossible odds, they had defended the galaxy. Kate appeared on his screen with tears running down her face. "We did it, Jake. We actually did it. We did," he agreed. Together, all of us. A new transmission came through. It was the Sentinel, broadcasting from its station at the edge. "Well done, Admiral Morrison. Well done, people of the galaxy. You have proven that life, when united, can stand against the dark. The Harvesters will not return in your lifetimes. Perhaps not for 1,000 years, but they will return. And when they do, the galaxy will be ready. Because you taught them how." The transmission faded, but its message stayed. The galaxy had changed. Peace would never again mean being lazy. The species that had once looked down on humanity now looked to them for leadership. The secrets humanity had kept at the edge of known space had saved them all. Morrison looked out at the stars, at the fleet that represented the best of galactic civilization, and smiled. Humanity had kept its watch, and in doing so had given the galaxy something more precious than peace. They had given it hope. In the days that followed, celebrations spread across the galaxy. Every world, every species, every colony marked the victory. But humanity did not celebrate for long. They knew the truth. The Harvesters would return. Maybe not for centuries, but they would return. And so humanity returned to the edge. They rebuilt the damaged ships. They trained new crews. They continued to watch the darkness between galaxies. Because that was what humanity did. They were the Watchers, the Guardians, the ones who never forgot that peace required strength. The other species learned from them. The Velkari began building their own defense fleets. The Threxians developed new weapons. The Krellians shared their knowledge freely. The galaxy that had been comfortable and lazy for 300 years remembered how to be strong. And at the edge of known space, on stations like the one where Kate Sullivan had first detected the signal, new observers watched the darkness. They watched for any sign of the Harvester's return. They watched for other threats that might come from beyond, because humanity had taught them the most important lesson. The universe was vast and full of wonders, but it was also full of dangers, and survival meant being ready, always watching, always standing guard at the edge where the light met the dark. The stars no longer trembled with fear at what humanity kept secret. Now they trembled with gratitude, because at the edge of known space, humanity kept watch, and that made all the difference.